Alrighty guys, and welcome to the final English video for this week, which is week 4. Today we are going to be having a look at metaphors, following on from what we did yesterday, learning about similes. So today we are learning to identify and explain metaphors in a poem so we can analyze the figurative language summary of a poem. So this is going to be very helpful to get to our assessment, understanding what metaphors mean, because this is another figurative language feature instead of being a literal language feature. Okay, we will be successful when we can explain what a metaphor is, find a metaphor in a poem, and create our own metaphors relating to a poem. So let's see how we go here. Okay, let's start with what a metaphor is. So a metaphor is a figurative device that compares something directly with something else in order to create a resemblance. Okay, so that's got some big words in there. Let's have a look at those a little bit further. So figurative is a word that I've been using, but having it as a visual here, we can see that figurative means the using or containing non-literal sense of a word or other words. So saying something that is not absolutely correct, it is not literally there, but you can use your imagination to figure out the detail that it's trying to add there. Okay, and the word resemblance is similar in appearance or quality. So pretty much the summary of this is that a metaphor is a figurative way of comparing two things that do not match up, okay, but they can relate. So we'll have a look at some examples and the explanation should become a little bit clearer. Okay, so here's an example. It says, the moon was a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas. Okay, so that was figurative because that doesn't literally happen. Okay, the moon is not tossed upon cloudy seas. The moon was not literally a ghostly galleon. Let's have a look and see what that means. Okay, so ghostly galleon there, it says that we know that the ship can't be a ghost, but using this metaphor forms an eerie image in the reader's mind. Okay, so this is again about creating imagery in a reader's mind, which is where we bring our visualization in. So that creates that image in your brain that that's what the moon was doing on the boat. Okay, so we use metaphors to get a message across, to describe something in a more figurative way instead of just being literal, because literal is a bit boring sometimes. Okay, so let's have a look. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over a purple moor. Which image do you think matches? Okay, so a ribbon of moonlight. Obviously, a road is not a ribbon. Road is not moonlight, but the ribbon of moonlight over a purple moor is what this one looks like to me. Okay, so it's creating a picture in your brain using words that you wouldn't necessarily use, because otherwise I would just say, there's a little road, or there's moonlight. Okay, and that's pretty boring. Okay, so let's have a look at identifying a metaphor now to take off the first area of our success criteria. So metaphors are easy to spot because they are comparisons between two things, but they do not contain like or as. So when we were looking at similes yesterday and you were looking through and we skimmed and scanned for the words like or as, we can't do that for a metaphor, but what you can do is you can look for things being compared, and if they don't have like or as, then it's likely that they are a metaphor, which makes it pretty easy. If we've already found the similes, it'll be pretty easy for us to find the metaphors. Okay, it was raining cats and dogs. Okay, so it was raining cats and dogs is a metaphor. It was raining like cats and dogs would be a simile, and a pretty bad simile at that. Okay, but it was raining cats and dogs obviously just means it was raining a lot, but since it doesn't have the words like or as, and it's comparing rain to cats and dogs, that makes it a metaphor. Okay, so metaphors add more detail and description as well. So let's have a look at a couple of examples here. It says, her spidery hand quickly wrapped around the boy's wrist. Her hand was not made of spiders, but it said it was spidery because it was trying to build a picture in our minds. What do you think of when you think of a spidery hand? I would think of quite a skinny hand, okay, like a thin, skinny hand, like a spider's legs, okay? His leather-soled feet ignored the sharp, shingle on the beach. So leather-soled feet. His feet were not obviously made of leather, but leather-soled feet, what picture does that make in your head? Yeah, somebody with really, like, old and worn sort of feet. His lips slithered into a smile. Lips don't slither, that's what a snake does, but that makes a picture in your head that is a bit of a creepy smile, isn't it? Because it's relating it to a snake. Okay, let's have a go at creating our own metaphors now. So what we're going to do is we're going to spin this wheel, we're going to see what it comes up with here, and then I want you to have a go at figuring out what a metaphor could be relating to that thing. So what I'm going to get you to do is when we spin, whatever it lands on, I want you to send me an email with the metaphor that you came up with. Okay, spin, spin, spin. What are we going to get? Toenail. Ooh. I could say a mustard yellow toenail. Gross. What could we say as a metaphor there? I want you to have a think, and I want you to email me, and I want to send out those emails that I get so that everybody has an idea. I'm going to spin this one again and see if it gets something different. Leg. Ooh. I've heard the term spidery long legs as well, like we were talking about a spidery hand before. Spidery legs is very, very thin and very, very long, like a spider's are. Okay, I want you to have a go looking at some of these other words here. Maybe you can come up with some awesome metaphors for those. Okay, let's have a look at this one now. We get to spin again. So these are not body parts anymore. These are random nouns. And then we're going to move on to our activities. Ooh, jelly. Oh, see, this is one that doesn't relate to the word jelly, but it uses jelly as a metaphor. When you get jelly legs, that means that your legs don't have any strength anymore, and they're like wobbling around like a jelly would, but obviously your legs aren't made of jelly. Do you have any other ones for me? Awesome, I would love for you to send them through. Let's have a look at your activity now. Alrighty guys, so having a look now at The Open Sea by Dorothea McKellar. This is just like the activity you're going to be doing, just with a different poem. I've had a quick look through and I have found 2 metaphors in this poem. You might find more than I did. Again, I've just found 2 on purpose. If you wanted to have a look through this poem and see if you could find any other metaphors, then that would be awesome. But I found sapphire sea, because as we discussed, the sea is not made of sapphires. And veil of rain, because a veil is the thing that comes over a bride's face at a wedding, and obviously we know what rain is. So a veil of rain just means that there's a sheet of rain in front of you, but it doesn't literally mean that there's a veil there. So coming over here so that you know what you need to do in your activity, you need to write a simile. So one of the similes that we found yesterday was curving like the crescent moon. And the meaning of that one is that it just bends a little bit. Awesome. Then we have to do one of the metaphors. So I just explained veil of rain. So why don't we choose that as our metaphor? And the meaning of that metaphor is that there's so much rain in front of you that it's like it's covering your face. And I can see that I've made a mistake back here, so there's so much. That is short for there is, so there needs to be an apostrophe there between there and is. Awesome. Now it says choose 3 other similes or metaphors that could be used in the main idea of this poem. So matching the main idea of this poem here, The Open Sea, which is to make the reader imagine and feel love for the ocean. We need to come up with 3 similes or metaphors or a combination of both to fill these lines. I want you to have a pause, have a think about some similes and metaphors that you can use describing the ocean and things that relate to the ocean. Alrighty, so I would love to hear what you guys came up with, but these are the ones that I came up with. Remembering it says similes or metaphors. You've got to have a quick think about what we learned about yesterday in our similes lesson. But we've got here, the wind howled like a wolf. I like this one because it relates to the ocean. I'm thinking more about a windy day, like in the storms that it's describing over here. And I love wolves, so this is a happy thing for me, so it matches the tone of this poem. We've also got the sand is a golden blanket. Okay, so again, quite a happy, warm sort of feeling, which matches the tone of this poem. That one is a metaphor because it is saying that the something is something else. Okay, and the water glistened like a diamond. Okay, so we've got 2 similes here because we've got like and like for 1 and 3 that I've written, and then we've got a metaphor in the middle there that I've written up. Again, would love to hear yours if you wanted to send them to me in an email. Let me know if you think it is a simile or a metaphor what you are sending me, and then I want you to fill this out in your own sheet. Again, any questions, always let me know. Happy writing, guys.